All right. We are live. Welcome in, everybody. I hope everybody is doing fantastic. Just going to throw that up so you guys don't forget. Not saying you're going to forget. Maybe you might forget. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in your brains. Remember, if you're new here, please subscribe. If you are old here, welcome back. Welcome back, gang. It's good to see everybody in here. You know, I love to see where you guys are from, so always drop those in here. Hey, Scott, can I use your ID Google flag me for being underage for watching Roblox videos? Oh, man. All right. Miami. Nice. Got somebody in here listening from Miami. I'm going to retweet my live stream real fast, and we will just get into it. Live now, boys. Let's go. Live now. Not live no. Live now. Okay, here we go. Justice for Peanut. Hi, Scott. Yes, justice for Peanut. Rip Squirrel. Hello from Chile. Nice. Ireland. Sicily. Nice. St. Louis. Awesome. Moscow. Nice. Hello, I'm from Brazil. Been following your Telegram for a long time. Welcome in. Glad to see that my advertisements are getting somewhere in all of my different social media platforms. Welcome in. Glad to see you in here today. It's great to see you. I hope you stay, enjoy the show, and come back for all of my future live streams. Slovenia, beautiful. Cali, awesome. Sheffield, dope. Munich, cool. Here in Ontario, Canada, beautiful. Good to see my Canadian brothers in here today. Remember, I am Canadian. Your mods banned me because I said I hate FPV. Huh. Well, if you ever get banned from my chat, I am the king of second chances, probably the queen of third chances. So if you would like to come back into my chat, if you've been banned, just DM me. You can DM me on Twitter or on Telegram with your profile, and I will get you back in here. I'm sorry that you guys get banned sometimes. Sometimes we have a lot of bots, and sometimes we just have incredibly disruptive, racist, gross people. Not that I can't take a racist joke, but if you're just only being specifically outwardly racist, it's like I don't want to read your messages. So sorry if you get banned. It's not me. I have mods on there as well. Right back into it, though. Shardyville, nice. Scott has mods since when? Since forever. Not on my YouTube, on my Telegram chat. If you would like to be a mod on my YouTube chat, let me know. I know that AMK wanted to do it. I don't really know how to set it up, so I'll have to figure that out. But yeah. Caroline, thank you for reposting my stream. Dope. After Kupion's falls, how long do you think before the Oskel pocket? How long do you think the Oskel pocket holds? We could talk about that in just a second. I'll make sure that I hit this question. Hello from India. Hello. Russia, Quebec. Awesome. Awesome, guys. Awesome. Cool. Ontario. Sweet. All right. Let's get into it. Been 3 minutes. Everybody is starting to file in. Everybody, welcome in. Let's go ahead and hide this banner real quick, and let's go ahead and get into it. So we have a couple of things to talk about today. Most importantly is the recent UN General Assembly meeting that was orchestrated yesterday. The event happened yesterday. Orchestrated sounds weird. But we did get some pretty interesting statements from some of the leaders. Some of the things going on just need to be talked about. So I'm going to bring up that tweet and show you exactly what our dear old president, if you're an American, Trump said. If you're not an American, you're hegemonic master. Right? If you're in Europe or something like that, he is kind of your president, just in a roundabout way. Kind of a joke, but all right. So here we go. This is Donald Trump on Truth Social. After getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine-Russia military and economic situation, and after seeing the economic trouble it is causing Russia, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. Huh? What? I literally scooted down in my chair to add some emphasis to this. Huh? What? Am I just a solo? Am I the only person in here? Am I solo right now, losing my fucking mind? The Trump administration's policy. We're going to go back to the tweet in just a second. I just had to make my face big so you guys could see the emotion this is pulling out of me. Did Trump's administration for the last 6, 7, 8 months, I think since like February, right? That's how long he's been in there. Have they not been saying that Ukraine is not going to be able to seize its territory back from the Russians and that there will need to be concessions made at negotiations? So let's go back over to the tweet real fast. This is hilarious. So after getting to fully understand the Ukraine-Russia military and economic situation, did you not know yesterday? Are you telling me that you are making geopolitical decisions that will affect humanity for the next couple decades without fully understanding what the fuck is going on? Why tweet that? What a shitty, horrible thing for a president to tweet when you've been giving billions of dollars away. I mean, I know that America, Biden was giving the money away, but still selling weapons, transferring weapons, creating conditions that could start a larger war. And you don't even know the military or economic situation on the ground. From a Ukrainian perspective, let's just go ahead and rewind to the past 8 months. How do you look at this from a Ukrainian perspective and not go, what the fuck? We could have been fighting and winning this entire time if Trump just would have known what was going on. We didn't have to do the Putin in Alaska meeting, and we didn't have to do the ugly White House situation that happened between Trump and Zelensky. None of that needed to happen. Trump's campaign promise was that he was going to end the war in one day, and now he's going to supply arms to keep the war going indefinitely until Ukraine wins, even though 2 weeks ago Ukraine wasn't going to be able to win, according to the entire administration. Who lets this guy tweet? Who lets this guy have a phone? This is crazy. This makes you look wildly incompetent in that first sentence. All right, let's keep reading. An economic situation after seeing the economic trouble it is causing Russia. Huh? Russia's economy has never been in a better position than it is right now throughout the entirety of the war. The worst place it was in the entirety of the war was 2022. It has only gotten more independent, less reliant on Western financial systems and production and everything. They're almost exclusively reliant on China and India now. So no, that's not going to affect the Russians. Excuse me, guys. I have some allergies, so if I cough or sneeze, please forgive me. So no, this isn't adding up. What new trouble are the Russians in? I think what this really is all coming down to is basically anybody that Trump talks to, as long as they just stroke his ego, can convince him of anything. So he sat down with Zelensky for a couple hours, and Zelensky apparently convinced Trump that not only could they win on the battlefield, but also that the refinery strikes that Ukraine is conducting is doing so much economic damage to the Russians that somehow the small country of Ukraine is going to be able to fight long enough to cause economic ruin in Russia. This has very, very 2022 Biden vibes. Remember the ruble is rubble sort of deal. And it just seems like the same trap, the same hole you're falling back into. And I want to be very clear on this. This is not a policy shift. This is not a policy shift. We are going to read this, and this is not going to be any change in U.S. policy. Because remember, in February, I talked about Pete Hegseth sitting down in Brussels and openly discussing the division of labor, right? Europe taking up the mantle, purchasing what Ukraine needs and supporting Ukraine in their European war, right? And so as we read this, you're going to see that that's exactly what's happening. Let's see. It is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form with time, patience, and the financial support of Europe. Clocked him. We got him, boys. We got him. Clocked him. That's not the United States. The financial support of Europe, exclusive language, right? Not the NATO allies, not NATO partners, Europe. And then he says, in particular, NATO. But when he's saying Europe, Europe is most of NATO. That's what he's talking about. He is not talking about the US. The original borders from where the war started is very much an option. No, it fucking isn't. We went through this in 2023. I'm sorry you weren't president at the time, but we've been here and the Ukrainians have already died for this dream. Not going to happen. He was informed about what war. What war is he paying attention? Is he just now all of a sudden paying attention to? The imaginary war that Zelensky's creating. So we will continue. Why not? Why aren't those original borders the options? Oh, because there's a Russian army standing in the way. But yeah, don't worry about that. Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. Again, here we go. First off, the U.S. spent, 20 fucking years in Afghanistan? How many years in Iraq? Never got those places under control, never had full control over those regions. So did Iraq or Afghanistan or Vietnam, Vietnam a little bit, but did they have the support of superpowers during the global war on terror? And you still lost to them? With all the time, patience, and resilience you had, you couldn't beat Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, the Taliban. And you got literally Saigoned out of Kabul, and people are falling off of planes because of how real and fantastic your army is. Oh, it's crazy. But here we go. And it's also hilarious that they're reinforcing that whole 3 days to Kiev narrative that they created. It should have taken an army a real week to beat Ukraine. If the Russians would have attacked Ukraine the way the United States attacked Iraq, destroyed everything, killed 1 million Iraqis, sure, right? Killed 500,000 Iraqi civilians or Ukrainian civilians, sure. But they didn't do that, did they? Does Ukraine still have power, sewage? Do they? Yes. So obviously the wars are being fought in a different manner. Also, Ukraine is backed up by the strongest military alliance in the world in NATO and the strongest single nation state in the world in the United States, which is the hegemony. So it's hilarious to say, oh, they should have just steamrolled through Ukraine as they've only killed 30,000 Ukrainian civilians. Or, sorry, 30,000 Ukrainian civilians have died in totality in the 4 years of high-scale industrial warfare that we are seeing in Ukraine compared to the 500,000 Iraqis that died in Iraq, right, over that amount of time. So just a small comparison there for you so you don't slip into this propaganda bullshit, Russia paper tiger garbage. Russia has never been militarily stronger than they are right now. There has never been a time where the Russian Federation, the Soviet Union might have been stronger, but the Russian Federation has never been stronger at any time throughout their 30-year history. It's actually 13,000 civilians, bro. Could you get me a stat on that? I would love to see that. Hey, stop. I thought it was something like 27,000 civilians on both sides, both Ukrainian and, like both sides of the front line since 2014. That's like the entire civilian casualties in Ukraine from the entirety of the civil war and into this war. I'm pretty sure. Somebody do some math. Yeah. He said, give me a minute. Yeah. Find it for me and let me know. Can we see the dog? Hades, come here. Come here. The people want to see you. My other dog's going to get upset. Sam gets jealous anytime I give the other dogs attention. Yes, you're a good boy. Yes, you're a good boy. Come here. You got to put your head up here. There he is. There he is. He's a happy boy. Okay, don't unplug my computer. Go. There you go. All right. Now I got his attention. Now he just wants to hang out with me. All right, here we go. This is not distinguishing of Russia. In fact, it very much makes them look like a paper tiger. There we go. Just hit all of the easy propaganda, topics. Paper tiger. I'm surprised he didn't call him a gas station. He almost does, but a gas station with nukes. When the people living in Moscow and all of the great cities, towns, and districts throughout Russia, they're great, I guess. I didn't think they had indoor plumbing, but they're great. Find out what is really going on with this war, the fact that it's almost impossible for them to get gasoline through the long lines that are being formed, and all of the money being spent on fighting Ukraine, which has a great spirit and only getting better. He never puts a period. It's fucking crazy. Ukraine would be able to take back their country in its original form, and who knows, maybe even go further than that. Still no period. Putin and Russia are in big economic trouble. Evidence. Show the evidence, please. And this is the time for Ukraine to act. In any event, I wish both countries well. No, you fucking don't. You're wishing for one to literally be basically destroyed by a smaller one that you're supporting. So no, you don't. And also, you don't care how many Ukrainians die to secure those borders. So you don't really give a fuck. And only getting better. Ukraine would be able to take back their country in its original form. No. And who knows, maybe even go further than that. So what does that mean? Go into Russia? What the fuck is this? What is this? What is this? This is like every single talking point to just ensure that there is never a negotiation ever in the future, ever. That's all this is. I can't make sense of how it's just verbal garbage. There's no sustenance to this. There's no policy change to this. I don't even know why you make this tweet or this post. Putin and Russia are in big economic trouble, and it is time for Ukraine to act in the event they wish both countries well. We will continue to supply weapons to Ukraine, to NATO, for NATO, to do what they want with them. Okay? Division of labor, very clearly. We're not going to give them to Ukraine. It's not going to be from our money. It's going to be European taxpayers who are going to pay for NATO weapons, or NATO countries are going to be given money by the United States, which I don't know where exactly the funding is at. And then that money can be spent on U.S. weapons, which then can be sent to Ukraine. Only person winning here is Raytheon, is the military industrial complex. That's the only group that's winning in this entire thing. Ukraine doesn't win because they don't actually get anything out of this deal. They get nothing, except, I guess, no more fake negotiations. Remember, I told you the negotiation talk was all just theater. It always was. That's very clear. Trump doesn't even know what's going on. His opinion on this war changes minute to minute based on who's in his ear talking to him. You couldn't come to an agreement. You're the peacemaker, Mr. Trump. You've settled how many Albanian conflicts? Azerbaijan, Albania. Solved. Easy. Cut it. So funny. Thailand, Armenia, solved. Cut it. It's just so goofy. Like, I'm trying to make some sense of this, and everybody is, the pro-Ukrainian crowd are like, oh, did Trump finally get the message? And then you see some of the smarter pro-Ukrainian accounts going, guys, he's not doing anything. There's nothing here for us. This doesn't change our position. It doesn't do anything. The only thing this does is prevents the negotiated peace process. Probably by design. Now the war will have to be fought to its military conclusion. Trump just threatened Putin with Ukraine invading Russia. Make sense of it, right? You can't, because it doesn't make sense. 2 months ago, he was telling you that Ukraine would never be able to regain their borders, but now they have a shot. As the Ukrainian military has gotten weaker and the Russian military has gotten stronger, and the overall support for Ukraine has dropped, and the tactical situation for Ukraine has worsened, now they're going to be able to take it back. Not in 2022 when they were at their peak strength. Not in 2023 when they suffered in Bakhmut and then didn't succeed in their planned mega offensive. No, now 2 years after that, much more degraded. Now is when they're really going to figure it out and they're going to achieve their goals. What the fuck are we talking about? This is alternate reality. Either he is just the best bullshitter and he's just doing this for effect, which would make sense. If he's just doing it to prevent negotiations and basically separating himself from the whole conflict, that's fine, right? That makes sense for this. If he genuinely believes any of this shit he's saying, he's delusional, and that should worry you immensely. It also should worry you that he went along and struck Iran. It should also worry you that he is pushing massive, not just he, but the entire U.S. hegemony is pushing massive civil unrest in the Southeast Asian region. I don't know if you guys have seen, but 4 of the 8 new leadership in Nepal are all USAID or National Endowment for Democracy or any of the NGOs that the U.S. operates, funded by them. So now half of the new Nepal government is controlled by the United States. Almost like I told you exactly what was coming, right? So don't expect anything to change with Ukraine from this. Nothing's going to change. The U.S. is going to continue doing its weapon selling to Europe. Europe is going to continue to try to financially support Ukraine, and Ukraine is going to continue to get absolutely bent over on the battlefield. The only people who win are the U.S. military-industrial complex and the Europeans who maybe are weakening Russia, maybe. But really, the Europeans are getting screwed because now they're going to be forced to buy very expensive Western energy instead of incredibly cheap Russian energy. Even right now, they're buying incredibly expensive Russian energy through India. So it's just a hot mess. I think he's walking away and doesn't want to tell them that their EU, EK are going to lose, and selling weapons is simply business. They know. They're just as smart as me and you. They might be delusional, but when they go home at night, they know what's happening. They have better intelligence than us. I hope. I really, really hope so. But he's not walking away. This is not walking away. This is what the U.S. does with proxies. They're not walking away. They are still selling all of the weapons that they need to Ukraine. They're just not handing them over to Ukraine. They're still going to provide strike data, right? Every missile that's fired by Ukraine into Russia, every drone is using U.S. strike data. So no, there's no walking away. The CIA is still going to be like this in Ukraine. There's no walking. That's not what's happening here. He can't walk away. That is like what he should be doing, is saying, this isn't our problem. We're not going to sell weapons. We're not going to fund this war. We're not going to touch this war anymore. It's not what's happening. Publicly, they're absolving themselves of liability. Yes. But geostrategically, they still are involved in Ukraine directly. So don't give this stupid son of a bitch any points, guys. Seriously, he had his opportunity. He has literally tripped and ate shit for the past 8 months. You can say anything you want. I had hopes that he was going to do something when he came in because he was just making crazy promises. I was like, he has to follow through on one of those. Nope. And his base doesn't even care. Epstein list? Nah. Attacking Iran? Why not? Striking Yemen? Why not? Continuing to supply Israel for the genocide of Gaza? Please. We have to. Supporting strikes in Lebanon? Sure. Striking narco boats in the Caribbean for no fucking reason? Why not, brothers? Because that's the peacetime president. Overthrowing governments in Southeast Asia? Sure. It's so clear as day what's happening. And then everybody just sits back and goes, Oh, look, he's trying to get out of it. Oh, look, he's trying to meet with Putin. He's trying to be a good peacemaker. He's trying to make deals. Oh, look, he solved Armenia and Azerbaijan. Oh, look, he solved this. No, he didn't. He hasn't solved anything. He's temporarily stopped fighting in some areas, which then later resumes. I guarantee you, you will see India and Pakistan pick up momentum again. I guarantee you, you will see Thailand and Cambodia pick up again. And I am sure that Azerbaijan is not done in Armenia. So he's not a peacemaker. He's not doing anything that he needs to do. He's not doing anything at all, actually. And it's just frustrating. All right. Yeah, so this was a very interesting tweet. And then I'm going to show you guys another thing on my Twitter here, which was a meeting between Lavrov and Marco Rubio. And this is what they said in that meeting. Hold on. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing. Right here. So this is a summary of the meeting between Lavrov and Marco Rubio on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. Secretary Rubio's meeting with Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov. Readout, office of the spokesperson, September 24th, 2025. The below is attributed to Principal Deputy Spokesman Tommy Pigott. Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. The secretary reiterated President Trump's call for the killing to stop and the need for Moscow to make meaningful steps towards a durable resolution of the Ukraine war. Huh? Hold on, everybody. Just hold on. Just give me 1 second here. Just give me one quick minute, one hot little minute right here. Let me find this again. Bink. Does that compute with that? Does that compute? At what part of this public statement by the President of the United States makes it seem like Russia needs to come to the table to make a peace negotiation? Is this a threat? Is that what this is supposed to be to Russia? You think this is the threat that is going to push them over the edge? What fantasy land are we living in? The Russians have been threatened for 4 years by the West. Biden threatened them, sanctions, nuclear sanctions. They did it. Nothing happened. Weapons, ATACMS, Abrams, Challengers, nothing changed. What do you have? What could you possibly do at this point? Are you going to give them more drones to strike more refineries? Is that the long-term goal? Are you really going to try to bankrupt the Russian economy by striking oil infrastructure? That's not going to work in the long run. So if this is a threat, it's not going to work against the Russians. The Russians are not going to be persuaded through violence or the threat of violence. That is not how the Russians operate. That is not how Moscow works. I don't know how I know that, but the President of the United States doesn't. But I also know what's going on in Ukraine and on the front line in the economic situation. He just figured out yesterday. So I don't know. It's very interesting. Very interesting indeed. I'm going to do this. So yeah, Marco Rubio and the U.S. administration is saying that Russia needs to work towards a peaceful resolution. Meanwhile, they're saying that Ukraine needs to fight, and they're going to give them everything they need to fight because Putin has been very disappointing. Had a meeting with him in Alaska and couldn't figure anything out because, the Russian position is so unreasonable and so ridiculous, like NATO neutrality for Ukraine. It's just unreasonable from those evil terroristic Russians. Just mean, bad people. Okay, let's go ahead and see what some of the normies in the media are saying about the recent situation here. That one's not going to work. Oops. Let's try this one. Okay, here we go. Can Ukraine actually win the war? How Trump's comments have rattled Russia. So this is the Independent. Obviously, I'm pretty sure the Independent is a UK, right? I'm pretty sure it is UK. This one says the US edition, but I'm pretty sure this is a UK paper. Donald Trump has made a unique and sudden intellectual contribution to the future of Ukraine. You mean his tweet? Is that the intro? It's his IP. It's his intellectual property. Contribution to the future of Ukraine and European defense, shifting the debate away from the assumption that Kiev must negotiate or die to the belief that it could destroy the Kremlin's army. In one day, it switched. It was that for 8 months, and then today or yesterday, it switched. What? How does anybody not like shake their head and just go, wait. What did you just say? This remarkable volte-face is being seized upon in Europe with as much vigor as was evident in the effort to look away from when Trump backed Vladimir Putin over Ukraine. Let me get this right. You're trusting the guy who you are saying was just backing the person you call Hitler. Last week, he was saying that Putin was on the right track and that we need to negotiate. But now he's saying the opposite, and that's a good thing? Why is Trump bad when he says things I don't like, but now Trump good when Trump said things I do like? Trump, evil man. He probably Russian asset. Oh, you don't like Putin anymore? That's what Europe just did. Like, what are we talking about? What? How does that work? One day, he's the worst president for Ukraine in human history. The next day, he makes a Truth Social post, and it's an entirely different world we live in. It's ridiculous, dude. That's how bad the situation is, by the way. Let me just add some clarity to this for you guys. The reason why the flip is so exaggerated and everybody's paying attention to it is because things are so miserable for the Ukrainian armed forces right now, and they have really no hope going forward, which we are going to talk about in just a second, that anything is a win. So you see smoke coming out of a refinery, huge win. Doesn't matter what damage is done. That refinery is done. Russia's economy is done. How are you going to operate with gas even though your entire military runs on diesel, right? How are you ever going to manage? Russia's going to freeze this winter. Okay. So when that doesn't happen, what's the plan, right? And it is wild to watch the swings, the highs and lows of the pro-Ukrainian information space. The fact that they are on their knees for Trump because he made one Truth Social post should just tell you how bad the situation is. There is not a single world leader that could put out a tweet that would make me go from we're so done to we are so back that quick. Other than maybe Benjamin Netanyahu saying I'm resigning and we need to have elections in Israel, then I might be like, oh, we're back, boys, until I see who gets elected in the after that. But I truly do not understand the spinelessness of some of the commentators on this war and their just ability to just forget that Trump for 8 months was their biggest enemy and the biggest enemy of Ukraine. And now he's the biggest friend of Ukraine, even though literally nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. All right. Look when Trump backed Vladimir Putin over Ukraine, or when he threatened to invade Denmark and Canada. I'm pretty sure he's still threatening to invade Greenland and Canada, right? Trump says all kinds of stuff. He does. Hey, this is the most accurate statement of this entire article right here. Trump says all kinds of stuff, but this stuff we're going to pay attention to because this stuff confirms our bias. That's so crazy. Much of it, like his attacks on the UK after he was feted by its king. This is the most British paper ever. Much of it, like his attack on the UK after it was feted by the king, are politely ignored by a government keen to keep him on side, or at least not drive him further towards the dark side. Okay, I'm going to stop reading there because you can tell how just... what world are you living in? Pushing Trump to the dark side? What is he, a Sith? Is this young Anakin? Annie, don't go to the dark side. What does that even mean? What's the dark side? Isn't the dark side the side perpetrating a genocide against a captive people? The side that you support in Europe, right? The British Islands have been not too anti-Israel lately, have they? But yes, the Russians, that's the dark side. That's the evil bunch over there. Don't go to them. Can't read any more of that. That's terrible. But it is just interesting to kind of get the perspectives. That is a legitimate train of thought from somebody who is perceived to be qualified enough to write for a newspaper. No matter how low tier the newspaper is, doesn't really matter. They still published that. That's crazy. And people read it and went, yes. This is correct, which is, again, insane. All right, another article here. Going to go over to Al Jazeera. All right. All right. Russia says no choice but war after Trump U-turn on Ukraine. Kremlin also says U.S.-Russia rapprochement yields close to zero results as fears grow in Europe of a Ukraine spillover. Don't know why they're worried about a Ukraine spillover. I don't think Putin has ever one time threatened Europe beyond defensive measures. So I don't know. The second army in Ukraine, the paper tiger, is what Europe is afraid of. Make it make sense, please. For me, just for me. Somebody do a quick cliff notes on how that makes any fucking sense. Real quick. Did anybody figure out how many civilians have died? Can somebody give me an update on that? I might have missed it. Apologies. I was looking and I didn't see anybody say it. If you're still in here, I would love to know how many, because we were going to Google that and fact check it. I can do it myself too. But here we go. The Kremlin announced it has no alternative but to continue waging war as it pushed back on the United States President Donald Trump's sudden change towards Ukraine that saw him brand Russia as a paper tiger. The Kremlin spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, hit back at Trump's claim that Ukraine could, in effect, win the war, declaring on Wednesday that Russia would be continuing its offensive on Ukraine to ensure its interests and achieve the goals. We are doing this for both the present and the future of our country for many generations to come. Therefore, we have no alternative, he said in a radio interview with Russia's RBC radio station. Tuesday had seen Trump throw his weight behind Ukraine after meeting with President Vladimir Zelensky on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly, posting on social media that the country was, quote, in a position to win and fight all of Ukraine back in its original form. Signaling his rapprochement with Russia was over, U.S. President said Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. Just like Afghanistan, should have just been able to control Afghanistan. It's just a bunch of goat farmers, and you couldn't even get them under control. Come on, bruh. Russia's war is making it look like a paper tiger with a failing economy, he said. Interesting. On Wednesday, Peskov pushed back against Trump's paper tiger remarks, insisting Russia was more of a bear, though he conceded the economy, which is slowing after 3 years of rapid growth and with stubborn inflation, was facing some headwinds. Almost like you have half of the world not participating in your economy anymore, huh? Almost like that. Almost like your largest purchaser of gasoline or energy was cut off and you've been experiencing some headwinds. Yeah, that's what happens. But also, the Russians just cut their interest rates. So things can't be going like horribly, right? They were sitting at like above 20%, I think. And now they've been dropped down. So, you know, they talk about this every year. We get into this every single year. And I'm telling you, it's coming soon. The ruble is going to be devalued. It happens every year around Christmas. It's going to go to something like 100 to the dollar. And you're going to hear the exact same thing that you've heard the last 3 years, that the Russian economy is collapsing, this, that, or the other, because nobody understands devaluing your currency. Nobody understands how the Russian economy works. Trump didn't understand what the situation with the Russian economy was 2 days ago, according to him. So, yeah, I'm not too keen on listening to how the Russian economy is going to collapse when Russian economists are saying something else. And even Peskov is saying that the worst that's happening to the Russian economy is they're running into headwinds after multiple years of massive growth, right? In a separate development on Wednesday, Russia's finance minister proposed raising the rate of value-added tax from 20 to 22% to finance defense of the security. As analysts predicted, the country's rate of economic growth would plummet to around 1% from 4.3% last year. So, it does seem like a pretty steep drop-off in economic growth, but when the last 3 years have been 4 times the economic growth you've been seeing in the previous years, it messes with the statistics, right? Yeah, we're not at 4.1% GDP growth, because doing that year on year on year is incredibly difficult to do. But yeah, so just another sort of look on it from the Russian perspective. They're just saying that the war will continue. They have no choice but to continue to fighting this war until its conclusion. And this is exactly why I said I believe that Trump put out this tweet. He had literally no other option but to complete the whole division of labor policy that he set up. That is what this is. This is the implementation of that policy. Europe will buy weapons. The U.S. will be hands off on Ukraine publicly. And the liability also is removed from the United States on what happens to Ukraine, because they're not going to win. And in fact, they are going to lose horrifically. And it is going to be, I don't know how to explain this, but there will be a point when the Ukrainians just don't have manpower. And we are seeing that in multiple areas of the map already, where the Russians are advancing in Zaporozhye, Dnipropetrovsk region, like 2 to 3 kilometers a day. If you guys go check out my map video that I just recorded, just posted it right before this live stream. If you want to go check out all those map updates, you can do that. It's on my YouTube page. They're moving at 2 to 3 kilometers a day in the Dnipropetrovsk, eastern Zaporozhye region. They're pushing in on Holyai-Polye. And there's no more defenses in this region. Liman sector is being harassed tremendously right now, right? The Russians are advancing all across the entire Liman front and the Seversk front. Seversk is under pressure. Pokrovsk is in an encirclement right now. Konstantinivka, the Russians are advancing on the city from multiple sides. And then Kupiansk is half controlled by the Russians. And I bring this up for a specific reason, because I just saw a post and I just forwarded it to the Telegram. And it is from one of the more trusted sources I have. And I've seen this a couple different places. Trump has received data about a planned offensive by the armed forces of Ukraine, for which intelligence from the United States will be required. What? What the fuck? Did we not learn any lessons from Kursk? Where are you planning on going? Let's go over to the map real quick. Let's just go over to the map and check out and see where the Ukrainians could possibly go on the offensive. Because just for posterity's sake, let's see. Are they going to go in the Zaporozhye region? I mean, we saw how that worked last time, right? It's going to be hard to stage down here. You're going to push for Robotny again and try really hard to get down to Tomak. How are you going to do that with less manpower and less strategic stability? How are you going to do that when other areas are under extreme pressure and threat? Let's go over here. Southern Donetsk and Dnipropetrovsk region. The Russians are advancing very quickly into this area, which there are no fortifications. Playfra on Twitter did a great map. I used it in my map update video that I just posted, where you can see that there are no fortifications in this region. The Russians have gotten through all of the fortifications now. And Playfra, who is a pro-Ukrainian mapper, has been warning about this for some time, that the Russians are now through and that the advance in this area is going to come quick. So are you just going to ignore that where you go on the offensive? Or are you going to go on the offensive here to try to push the Russians back or something? I don't know. But let's just maybe that area is just, no, they're not thinking about it. Let's go up to a different area. What's the goal here? What's the plan? How are you going to deal with this encirclement in a key city? Is this where the offensive is going to happen? Are you going to use your offensive capabilities to unblock a city? Because that seems like a little bit of a waste of an offensive, right? Just to come down here and unblock a city. It would help. It would delay the Russians for sure. But that's a lot of reinforcements to commit to somewhere where there are a lot of Russians. There are a ton of Russian units in this area. They've been bringing in units. They've been rotating in a lot of different units again and again. And this area is just well defended. So you're not going to go here, but are you going to ignore the active encirclement of a major city? Where are you going to go on the offensive? Let's go down here to Konstantinivka, where the Russians are advancing and they're almost into the city now. Are you going to ignore Konstantinivka? Are you just going to let the Russians walk in? What reserves are you going to use? Remember, the Ukrainians just sent the 12th Azov Brigade to this area to defend it, right? And then they left Liman, which, by the way, look at the Liman front moving like a motherfucker over here. They moved the 3rd Azov Brigade from this area up to Kupiansk. So Kupiansk, you're not probably going to see very much movement, but now you have this city, which is embattled, right? You have Liman, which is being pressured from literally every side at this point, and it's on the low ground. So you're going to be fighting for Liman here soon. Come down here to Seversk. The Russians are now at the mine north of Seversk. The northern flank of Seversk has been compromised. The Russians will probably be in Seversk within a couple days. Are you going to just lose Seversk? Are you going to lose the entire canal here? This is what I've been talking about, guys. This is the issues that we're running into. There is literally no path forward, and the only place I can see where the Russian or the Ukrainians could go on the offensive is in the Bryansk region, in the Chernihiv region. And this is what I've been talking about. We've been seeing a ton of training camps in this area getting hit. Another one was hit today. The Russians double tap striked training bunker, an underground bunker facility, because the Ukrainians moved all of their troop training underground because of the recent casualty strikes or massive casualty events. And another one was just hit, and another mass casualty event occurred because the entire bunker was basically destroyed by this double tap Iskander strike. So you have another mass casualty event of training troops in this region. Why are you training troops here? I don't get the point of training troops in Chernihiv. You have all of this area down here where you can much more safely conduct training operations. Why do it here? Why is there so many fortifications being built in this region? Why is there so many engineering teams in this region? Why is there so many Russian strikes in the Chernihiv region? It's not an active front line. Something is happening here, and I'm telling you guys, this is where the Ukrainians are going to go on the offensive. There's nothing here for them to achieve, so by all means, go for it, but this is going to be the exact same thing as the Kursk region. I promise you, it's going to be the exact same thing. And remember what happened when the Ukrainians went into Kursk. The Russians took Kharkove, Andrivka, Seledove. They pushed out all of this. They compromised the entire southern flank of Pokrovsk, which then compromised all of this up to Velika Novosilka, which then compromised all of this, right? The map has moved so much since that Kursk operation started. So much of the map has been advanced upon. And even up here, all of this is after Kursk. So are you going to go for it? I just don't know what the end game goal is there. I don't know if I did something. Oh, wait, no. Okay. All right. All right, guys, back over. If you guys have some questions, I'm done talking about everything that I need to talk about. So go ahead and get in some questions. But if you were Ukraine, Zelensky, what would you do? If I was Zelensky, ooh, I don't know what position he's in exactly. Probably I'd be doing exactly what he's doing. I don't know what options he has. I don't think that he lives if he leaves. I don't think he really has that option. So he can't like run away. He's too indebted into the system right now. Probably just doing the same thing. If I was Ukraine, I would be rapprochement with the Russians as soon as possible, because I know what happens to U.S. proxies. I know where this is going. How this ends. The only way you can stop it is by appealing to the side that is about to destroy you at the behest of the U.S. government. At the behest might not be the right terminology. Due to the actions of the U.S. government, Russia will be forced to destroy Ukraine. So, to prevent that, try to get in. Let's see. Did anybody write it down? Here we go. Calibrated. Here it is. Right in Google. Number of civilian casualties during the Russian invasion verified by July. Oh wait. Where is it? I don't see the link. Can you just tell me the number? I guess I can Google it. Yeah, I'll just do it so I can bring it up. 36,000 injuries. Okay, so yeah, 14,116 civilian deaths. Holy crap! That is crazy. That's insane. That's so many less than I thought it was. That's wild. Only 13,000 civilians have died in this war. Wow, that's crazy. That's so crazy. Holy shit. Israel has killed more babies, literally babies, like 1-year-old and younger, than Russia has killed total civilians. That's fucking unreal, dude. That's so crazy. Thank you for doing that. Yeah. I got what you were saying. I thought you had put a link in there, and I was like, bro, I do not see this link. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Brat, for your help. What are Russian objectives? Oh, and also somebody asked a question about Kupiansk. I don't think Kupiansk is going to fall right now. Somebody said, how long will the Oskil River take to push out after Kupiansk falls? I don't think it's dependent on Kupiansk. I think this will get pushed out probably before Kupiansk is totally captured, because it just doesn't make sense for the Ukrainians to sit over here after the city falls. And then down here to the south, I really don't know how long this is going to take to fall. I imagine as the Russians push out and reach the Oskil from the south, logistics will just become incredibly difficult in this area, and it will fall by itself eventually. But the Ukrainians seem incredibly determined to hold both this area and this area. And remember, this area is important because this is the last remaining piece of the LPR for the Ukrainian armed forces. So if they lose this, the LPR will be 100% controlled again, sort of a propaganda loss. Let's see, what was the question? What are Russian objectives in Dnipro Oblast? What towns are they aiming for? Pokrovsk is the major one. So I'll take you over to the map again. Pokrovsk is the major one. That one is, that city is down here. So here's Pokrovsk. The Russians are pretty close, actually, just a couple miles, 11 miles from the city. And this is another one of these crossroads where it just has a bunch of highways that come in and meet it. It's also along the Vovocha River line. So more realistically, the city or the village of Alexandrivka is going to be the first achievement, and then Pokrovsk secondarily after the Russians are out here. But I don't know, guys, this is like part of the problem when you're looking at a map like this, is I don't know where where the line is going to like snap entirely, right? Because if the Russians make it to Pokrovsk, they are like seriously so deep behind the other lines. It's like, yeah, they're like 50 miles ahead from like the other fronts. I don't know if the front will just keep progressing out this way or if they are going to focus on wrapping up the north, because this is the area where if they free up the Russian units in this area, the entire map is going to look like this all the time. So if they can get through this, that would be I think this should be the primary goal. In this region, Holyai and Pokrovsk are the immediate goals, with the larger goal being probably Propisnaya, because Propisnaya feeds Mezova. Propisnaya is another one of these highway towns, and it's actually got some high ground as well. So I think that those are your major objectives in this region. But again, this to me feels like for the Russians, not so much maybe not a victory, but an opportunity to create some chaos that will then yield them results across the map. And like I said, if I were the Russians right now, I would just get a bunch of dirt bike units together, DRGs, and send them out into these tree lines and just try to get them behind enemy lines, creating a ton of chaos in this region, and then a strong offensive forward following that invasion. And that's sort of what we saw up here in the northern flank of Pokrovsk, where the Russians crossed two Ukrainian defense lines. YouTube doesn't allow linking comments. Oh, I didn't know that. Makes sense, but didn't know that. Okay. So after such a hissy fit that Trump threw in his post, we can't rule out something like the supply of Tomahawks missiles. Don't rule anything out, my friend, but I don't think you're going to see Tomahawks in Ukraine. That is a particular launch platform that the Ukrainians don't have available. You might see them get some Tomahawks. I know that there's that one ATV system where you can launch a Tomahawk basically off of an ATV. They'll probably just put it on a flatbed truck or something if they give it to them. But again, we don't really have that many Tomahawks to give. So if we do give them, they're going to get a very small number, just like Storm Shadows, just like ATACMs. Is Trump purposely clowning out the media and NATO by doing a 180 every other week? I just think he has no repercussions for his actions. Nobody holds a flame to him when he, says the things that he says. He can just openly lie and go back on his promises, and his base doesn't care. And that's a major issue, right? So I just don't think he even thinks about it. Whatever he hears, if it suits him in the moment, he will say it. And that's why you shouldn't even listen to him. Do you think Seversk will fall before the end of November? No, I don't. It could. But every time I've said something like that, it doesn't work because the Russians don't push like you expect them to push. They're not pushing anywhere on the map. I'm telling you guys, territory is not the goal. They have the Ukrainian in so many pockets across the map. The Ukrainians are forced to respond with emergency units to multiple different areas. There's fires all over the front, and they're just grinding the Ukrainians down. And also, when the Ukrainian units are moving around, they are heavily targeting their deployment points. So Azov got struck in Slavyansk, all over the place. They've been hit. This is a ongoing thing. So the Russians are, again, not trying to gain territory if they don't need to. They're not trying to take excessive casualties if a bomb can do the job for them, right? Why not just level an entire fortification and then move into it, which is exactly what you're seeing. So you're like, oh, the progress is slow, this, that, or the other. Well, if you want fast progress, you're going to look at a lot of dead Russian bodies. Same with the Ukrainians. If the Ukrainians want to go on the offensive, you're going to be looking at a lot of Ukrainian bodies. That's the cost. If that cost is worth it to you, if you're on a timetable, that's one thing. The Russians don't appear to be on a timetable. The Ukrainians do appear to be on a timetable. Also, if you are in a Russian position and you overextend yourself, if you go beyond your means, you present opportunities to the Ukrainian army to do significant damage, right? You don't want to have ambushes like we saw in Kiev or Kharkov or Sumy region or anything like that. You want to avoid that. That you are fighting a marathon, or you're running a marathon. You're not running a sprint. The war, you have the mathematical advantage if you're the Russians. So just keep playing to that mathematical advantage until the math works out in your favor, which it currently is. The Russians are advancing. They've advanced something like 200 kilometers this month in the Dnipropetrovsk region. So they're moving square kilometers. I don't see NATO countries, nice beard. I don't see NATO countries being able to recruit a lot of soldiers to fight for EU liberalism. Once Ukraine runs out of soldiers, what then? Great question, my friend. And that is a question that is going to be answered relatively soon because they are out of men. And they did this really stupid, weird thing where they let 18 to 22-year-olds just leave. And now a bunch of the people in the country are saying that they need to prevent them from leaving now. Like 30 to 40,000 18 to 22-year-olds just left the country, which is like your entire mobilization group for that age. Like you just let every single soldier you had available walk out of the country, which is good. I approve of it. Let them all live and don't force them to die. Let the war end earlier. But they did. They're just creating more manpower issues for themselves through their own actions. And I don't know if it's because they want the Ukrainians to escape, to sort of have a diaspora that they can use to commit terrorist attacks in the future when the Ukrainian government goes into exile or whatever. I'm not 100% sure, but I can tell you that the moves that they're making don't give me a lot of confidence that the Ukrainian army is going to be extremely well off for any amount of time in the future. Like they're already weak. They're already struggling severely. And now it's just going to get worse. You're not mobilizing 18 to 25-year-olds. So what does happen when Ukraine runs out of men, right? This is a great question. And it's why we are looking at how the Polish are reacting, how Romania is reacting, how the Baltics are behaving, because these would be the new manpower surpluses, right? You have to go to another country. Are you going to be able to get the Poles to fight the Russians? You are going to need some sort of false flag. I don't see that necessarily happening. And I think you're right. I think that Europe is in too poor of an economic position to be taking up that mantle and in too poor of a demographic position to be doing that. I think that I don't mean demographics like your guys' demographics are just like horrible or anything, but just that the people who should be going to fight are the most anti-war demographic that exists. Like if anybody was going to go fight for Israel, like who's going to go fight for Israel in the United States? Nobody. Like nobody's going to sign up for that war, right? The boomers are the ones who would sign up for that war, but they can't go fight. So I believe it's the same thing in Europe where everybody's going to be like, no, I'm not going to go fight the Russians. What are you talking about? I think you're absolutely right. And this is why I think Trump is doing what he's doing, where he's creating the division of labor, removing his liability or the United States' liability for what happens in their proxy war in Ukraine. Will continue to make money off of Ukraine and will continue to hurt Russia until Ukraine is no longer has the ability to do that. If Europe really thought that Russia was going to come for them, they would be making kinetic moves to prevent that. And you just don't see it. So all of the talk of Poland's next, the Baltics are going to happen. It's all just propaganda to keep the focus on Ukraine, keep the money flowing and keep everything kosher. But they're going to run out of, they're already running out of soldiers. The reason why the Russians are advancing, remember 2023 when the Russians didn't advance at all? It was like a couple kilometers here and there. One big battle for a city like Bakhmut was like the biggest thing, right? During that year, the Ukrainian counteroffensive, the Ukrainians were on the offensive, right? We haven't seen anything like that. We haven't seen that sort of initiative being taken by the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians have been on the back foot. They're losing territory. They're surrounded in cities. So this is a very good question, and we are going to see very shortly. Like you said, I don't think you're going to be able to get Europeans to do the same fighting as the Ukrainians, and from that, you really don't have any options. And this is what we've been talking about for months and months. You either need to mobilize or get Western interference. And they're not doing either of those. In fact, it's way too late to mobilize now. You can't, the mobilization of that younger demographic is really not going to produce enough troops in any sort of time that is going to help you to stabilize the front. So I kind of agree with them with not drafting them, because I think the second they make that move to start mobilizing that demographic is when the Ukrainian population will begin to severely turn on Zelensky, even more than they already are. All right. Calibrated. That's me. Have you noticed or heard of movements of RU brigades formations near Bryansk? Are there any signs that they're preparing for an upcoming offensive? I haven't heard a ton. It's kind of hard to figure out where Russian units are moving when they're not engaged. If they're not putting out videos of their actions, it's sort of difficult to know who is where, especially because sometimes you will see brigade indicators in a certain area, or there might be a battalion or 2 battalions of a certain brigade in a certain area, but it's not the full brigade. So it's really hard to know. I'm sure I can ask. I don't have that information off the top of my head. I'm sorry. But we are seeing the Ukrainians do it. And so if I'm seeing the Ukrainians do it, I'm sure the Russians are seeing the same thing, and they will prepare in their own way. Calibrated. Keep in mind the numbers are from SMO. There's 15K during the So it is 30K total for the entirety of the civil war. But since Russia's direct involvement, there has only been 13,000 civilian casualties, or 14,000, which is unbelievable. That's so, even 30,000 is pretty low for just the amount of munitions, the amount of glide bombs, the amount of Iskanders, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles that have been used. That's incredibly low civilian casualties. LOL, nice beard. Good evening, George. Dude, the 18 to 22-year-old thing was so bizarre to me. It is the equivalent of being at a fist fight and taking a hammer and shattering your own knee with it. No, it's like being in a fist fight and taking the hammer and just shattering your knuckles, just breaking all of your knuckles, so that when every time you punch, it's just the worst pain you've ever experienced. Yeah, no, I don't get it. And that's why I was talking about creating the diaspora to use as terrorists in the future, right? Get all of your young, super impressionable 18 to 22-year-olds out of the country, start getting them involved with the SBU in some way, and then use them in the future. Is Poland is not interested in getting involved in the slaughter? Yes, I agree with you. Also, as he says, there have been thousands of Polish mercenaries who have died in Ukraine over the last 4 years. I don't know if it's 10,000. I know that some people count, and that there might be actual statistics for that, but I do know thousands of Polish fighters have died. And so I'm pretty sure anybody who's willing to fight has already gone to fight, and the rest of the Polish army is not going to be too keen on that. The manpower thing is horseshit, by the way. I don't know why you harp on it so much. No modern army has ever lost due to manpower. Have we ever, I don't know what you mean by no modern army has ever, have we ever seen a war of this scale or duration? I'm trying to think. I mean, with significant casualties, we can talk about the global war on terror, but those were just like police actions more than, you topple the government, which is a weak government, and then you come in and you try to control the population, which failed, like in Afghanistan. So I don't know what you mean by that. You've never seen a war like this. You've never seen a large-scale industrial war with modern armies like this. So, yeah, you've never seen people die, but you've also never seen a 4-year war with millions and millions and millions of artillery shells being fired. with FPV drones flying up assholes 24/7. You haven't seen a war like this. So I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, Ukraine will run out of men. They are openly talking about their own manpower issues. I didn't just invent this out of my brain. There is a specific lobbying group in Ukraine to draft 18 to 25-year-olds because the manpower issue is so severe. The Ukrainians are accepting 60-plus-year-old men into contract service because of the manpower issue being so severe. I don't know what world you're living in. The Ukrainians are not losing territory because they're fully stocked up on manpower, my friend. Aren't those 13K bodies on both sides? Yes, but those are Ukrainian civilian casualties. I don't think those are counted as Russian civilian casualties. So all civilians in Ukraine who had Ukrainian citizenship before the war started, that's the casualty count for them. So that involves the Ukrainians striking into their own territory, technically, and killing Ukrainians. Why is the Kleban-Biak pocket still there? What direction do you think the Russians will take Liman? I think the Russians will take Liman from the east. I think they're going to advance through that forest and just push along the river and capture it. I also think they're going to come down from the north side and push down the river that way. So basically flank from both sides of the river. Here, I can take you over to the map. Right here, they're going to push down to this river and then follow this road down into Liman. And then from this side, I think they're going to capture Yampil and then advance up this way and then push in through this forestry. And that's how they're going to reach Liman. And then you said, why is this pocket still open? Good question, brother. The Ukrainians just love to sit in there and die. I don't know what to tell you. Why do the Ukrainians sit in any pocket? It's a good question for them. According to a Ukrainian blogger, the 18 to 22-year-olds were probably the Protestants who had recently caused trouble on the Maidan because Zelensky wanted to bring NGOs under control. So they're just getting rid of their only fighting population so that their fighting population doesn't turn on them. That seems like the lesser of two evils when you're talking about you're fighting a war. I don't know. That doesn't sound particularly healthy to me. Oops, I said World War I. Didn't mean to. Okay. All right, guys, if you have a few more questions, get them in. I'm just kind of chilling out and relaxing with you guys until I decide to wrap it up here. That's the Ukrainian mentality. Don't think too much like an American. Yeah, that's one thing I have to do when I'm thinking about the Russians or the Ukrainians is stop thinking like an American, because it really is a very true statement that we have complete cultural differences in the way we think and the way we approach problems, and our attitude towards certain situations is just wildly different. And it's one of the big culture shocks I've gotten from following this conflict with the Russians. Man, at the beginning of this war, just one of the biggest culture shocks was watching pro-Russians just doom and doom and doom. And I had never realized how broken the Russian psyche was, how destroyed the self-perspective was. Because Americans are the greatest. We've always been the greatest. We're always going to be the greatest. That has been drilled into my head since I was a little kid, right? We're number one. There's not even a thought about it. We win. We just win. We won World War II. We won Korea. We won Vietnam, if you don't look too close. We won the Contras. We won in Afghanistan in the beginning. We won in Iraq in the beginning. Don't look at the end of those. But yeah, no, it's like you can't think like an American when you're looking at these problems unless you're looking at what the Americans are saying. And then you have to think like an American because that shit is delusional. Five Guys or Popeyes for dinner? Popeyes, 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 Popeyes. That's not even close. First off, I'm not a huge Five Guys fan. I think that is the most expensive, overrated burger. I worked at Five Guys for 3 days, literally tried to hang myself in the supply closet because that job sucked. I peeled potatoes and I'm 6'4", and I was straight up like bent over like that, peeling potatoes. Like not peeling potatoes, but you have to like put them in this thing and crush them. And dude, my back was shot. I literally couldn't do the job. I was like, I can't bend over. This sink is not built for somebody my size. They said you had to do it. And I said, I quit, Five Guys. That's when I was like 16. But yes, go Popeyes. Go Popeyes. What I get like that big family meal deal, has like 20 chicken tenders. I get spicy chicken tenders. And then I get the mashed potatoes. It comes with mashed potatoes, fries, a large drink. And then I usually get a chicken sandwich on top of that. That's so much food, dude. That's so gross that I just said that out loud. Can't believe that I actually do eat like that. That's so wild. All right. Yeah, this makes me mad. I don't like that your bell's not working. I don't know why it's not working, and I want it to work for you. You want to come say hi to the people? The people want to see you. Come here. Come here, Hades. Come here. The people want to see you. Good move quitting Five Guys. Yeah, it was a life decision that impacted me positively for sure. Come here. My dad made me get a job though, guys. You got to remember, I was 16. He was like, "You're getting a job, dude," especially because high school was going like really bad for me at the time. I dropped out of high school my senior year, got my GED, started going to college early. But I had like so many Fs. I was like 19 credits behind in high school. It was terrible. I missed like 130 days of school my junior year. Sweet. It was sweet, dude. Those were the days back then when truancy didn't matter to my school, apparently. He's asleep. The doggo is asleep. Babies, come here. Come here. Come here, big guy. I'm going to scoot over so you can come here. Come here. Come here. Come say hi to the people. They want to see you. Present the baby. Na, 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 na. He's a good boy. We're back. We're back, boys. We're back. Sorry, I got a plug in back here, boys. Got a plug in back in here. Well, that's a funny way for the stream to go. Good night, all you people. Everybody getting off. I love you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that my dog chose to get crazy and unplug my power strips. So, yeah. Scott, are you a gamer? Yeah, I've been playing actually a lot more video games. I got an Xbox recently because that's what my brother plays. Obviously, I have a PC, but yeah, I've been playing Helldivers and Borderlands 4. It's been a blast. Be well, brother. It was good to see you. My dog's an SBU spy? No, he's a Mossad. He's my Mossad connection, actually. He's my handler. So I started saying some things he didn't approve of. Click. Got the call. He had a discussion with me off stream. How's Borderlands running? Oh, it's great. I love that game. I love Borderlands. I like Borderlands 2 a lot. So it's fun. I've been enjoying it. I don't like that the characters aren't as significant. I felt like in the previous games, the character introductions like Moxie and all those characters were like super important and relevant to the game. And in this one, it doesn't feel like that as much, but it's still fun. Don't let them Charlie Kirk you. I'll try my best, boys. You're right. Our mentality was broken mostly by the myth that we are trash and the West is the shining city. Yeah, no, we did a great job. US soft power is crazy, bro. We can get people to die for us all over the world. People we have no connection to. Why are Ukrainians dying for us? They think we're so great over here and they want to be like us. And that's all we have to do. And we can literally get human beings to sacrifice themselves for us on the altar for the blood gods. It's impressive. Our soft power is incredible. We make other people in other countries feel so stupid and poor and terrible. And we're like, hey, look how great we have it over here. We could give you a little bit of that if you just do everything we say. And then we don't. And then we don't give them any of that because they don't really want democracy like that. It doesn't really work for them like that. It's just the idea that is really alluring and fascinating. What's your thought on the New Jersey drones? Are you talking about like from like a year ago? Is that what you're talking about? I have no idea. I think that mostly, are you talking about like the Iranian mothership stuff? Yeah, I don't, it's not adversary tech. It's definitely just the U.S. doing exercises off the coast. That entire thing was complete bullshit just to ramp up propaganda against Iran. Yeah, the New Jersey drones from December. Yeah, I think that those were just U.S. military drone exercises happening off the coast. Calibrated Russian channels are saying they took Vladimir and Ukraine took Novoshakovye near Dobrila. Does Ukraine have DRG units? Yes, both sides do. And in fact, that area you're talking about is just a big mess of gray. There's the lines on the map are not indicative of what's happening in that region. It's just the only way I can present it to you. In fact, that entire area is just a mess of Ukrainians and Russians intermingled, and it's just all over the place. You should make a live stream with the guys from Russians with Attitude. Those guys are cool, and you might learn something about Russia and Ukraine. Yeah, I would love to do work with anybody. I don't think the guys from Russians with Attitude really like me all that much. A lot of the actual Russians, like the Russian guys, they don't get along with me particularly well. I don't know why. I mean, not like we've communicated a lot. They've always been pleasant. I just don't think that they really appreciate what I'm doing or anything like that. So that's just my opinion on it. That's just how it feels to me. And I have nothing against those guys. I'd be willing to do podcasts with anybody. I'll literally talk to Denny if he wants to come on my podcast. Don't know why he would. He's way bigger than me. He doesn't need my me tearing apart his entire narrative, but anybody. Yeah, I'll hit up History Legends, and I'm planning on doing one with Brian again here soon. So there's going to be some new content on the channel for sure. Scott, what's the story of your Twitter profile picture? Oh, I just like dogs. And so anytime there's a military dog, I used it. And that little guy was in a picture of Russians. It was like a Russian special forces unit. And they were all standing there. And he had his head getting held up with a little hat on and his eyes were blurred. And I was like, that's the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen. They're protecting the dog's identity now. That's what's up. So I made that my Twitter thing. And then I just started growing. And I was like, now I'm not going to change it. And then if you look at my my little thing right here, you can see that he's a little doggy too. That's my banner over my profile. That's a dog sitting in a helicopter with his eyes also blacked out. So I don't know. I'm just really into mysterious puppies. I think puppies that don't want their identity known. That's my style. Russians yelling at you as them expressing affection. I believe it. I believe it. I feel like I feel like I'm always crossing a boundary and talking about something that I shouldn't be talking about. That's how I sort of feel. Anytime I interact with them on Twitter or anything, it's like it always just feels like, why are you here? Like, what are you doing? Like, what's your play? Like, they're suspicious of me, which is, again, totally fine because I'm just some glowy American kid sitting in his room talking about Ukraine for no reason. Thank you, brother. Thank you for coming in here. It's good to see you, Iranian Putin. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody who asked questions and donated today. I think I'm going to start a buy me a coffee because I am, dude. I'm telling you guys, I've been working my fucking tail off on like my Twitter and the live streams and everything. I was planning on doing one on Monday, but my allergies have been so bad. My eyes were swollen. I was sneezing and coughing like nonstop. So even today, I'm still a little nasally, but I really appreciate it. And I'm going to do a buy me a coffee, I think, just because this is starting to take up a ton of time. Like if you look at my posting schedule on Telegram, I was like posting today at, let me look at my time. I posted at 2:30 a.m., posted at 6. So I fell back asleep at 2:30, posted at 6. And then I've been nonstop posting from 6 a.m. until the live stream. So did he pop in? Yeah, he's back. I don't want him to turn off my computer again, though. It's not the first time that's happened. I like playing with him, and he always comes in. But I just am rubbing him right here off of stream. What? Sorry. Getting excited again. If he comes over onto this side, Hades, can you come over here? Come over here, buddy. Come over. No, this side. Go around. Yeah, go around. Yeah, come here. Come here. If he comes on this side, come here. They're getting upset. All right, guys. Oh, there he is. Hey, buddy. Don't turn off my computer again. Yeah, well, Sam just gets pissy anytime I'm giving anybody attention. All right, go on. You want to say goodbye to everybody? Come here. Come say goodbye. Come here. Come say goodbye. Oh, there he is. Okay. You guys are getting me in trouble. I'm telling you. All right. I love you all. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. I will be doing another casual live stream, hopefully like Saturday. I'm going to try to do one Saturday. Yes, allergies in dry New Mexico. Trust me, it sucks. It just actually rained here a bunch. Take care. I love you all, and I will see you on the next video. Be sure to go check out the Ukraine war map update. I did the full video. It's like 21 minutes. That is posted on my channel as well. Be sure to leave both of these videos a like. I appreciate all of you guys being in here. I hope you enjoyed the content, and I hope you guys are enjoying my work. Please be safe and take care.